We all know that sometimes when creating Helix presets, there's going to be a need for a very specific reverb, maybe something that's very big and lush or something that's smaller. But sometimes we have presets that don't necessarily need anything that overt or any special reverbs. But if we don't put anything in there, oftentimes it sounds very bone dry, depending on how we're monitoring. If we're sitting listening on headphones, sometimes it can be annoyingly dry and not have much of a realistic sound to it. So there is one block that was added in one of the more recent firmware updates for the Helix that I like to use whenever I'm creating a preset that doesn't need any sort of specialty reverb, and that is the Dynamic Ambience reverb. Now, this is designed to be a fairly small sounding reverb that can be dialed in to not really get in the way, but just kind of take away that direct bone dry sound and make our preset sound a little more realistic, a little more like it's sitting in a natural acoustical space. So here we have the Dynamic Ambience. We have the controls of room size. We can go with smaller, medium, and larger rooms. A lot of typical parameters in here: pre-delay, damping, diffusion. One of my favorite controls to utilize is the shape control, which almost gives the impression that the reverb was being captured either closer to the source or further away from the source. We have our mix control, which on this one I feel like can almost go a little bit heavier than on a lot of other reverbs. And then we have low cut, high cut, level, and trails. So let's just give this a listen. I'm going to bring this mix up to 40%. We'll keep it on some of my favorite settings here: 12 meter room, pre-delay at 5 milliseconds, the shape on the late 100. So let's just listen to this without that on it. If you're listening on headphones, you're hearing a very bone dry signal. If I engage that, now I have pretty strong settings on that. So if I pull this back to say 30% and go with the smaller room, there's the bone dry. So even at those subtle settings, we still get a nice little bit of realism, I guess if I could call it, added into our preset. Now, I really like these settings on, say, the 12 meter room, this late 100, as I said, and maybe somewhere around 35% on the mix. So if you're one of those players who doesn't really like an overt reverb on their tone, but also feels like when they don't have anything on there, it sounds too bone dry, the Dynamic Ambience block may just be the perfect block for you. And with all the options we have to dial it in, we can really get something that's going to suit what our end goals are. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that's something that helps you to create some better presets, or at least take your presets and raise them to a new level. I'm going to leave you with the demo video for one of my recent Line 6 Helix presets. It's available at the link below. I hope you enjoy the music on the way out. Thanks again for tuning in. Ciao for now.